we're really excited that you're here tonight. We're excited that you chose to worship with us at Grace and celebrate this Christmas season together. I know there's a lot of things going on. I know that it's just kind of going to be a crazy time of year. And so that's why we do a service on Christmas Eve, because tomorrow many of you may be traveling, may have family things going on. And so we just want to recognize that Jesus is the most important reason for this season. And we come together to celebrate that. We also recognize we all got stuff to do. So that's why we do on Christmas Eve. And I'm glad that you were able to come to join us for that. Now, if you've been here the past couple weeks, or you come to Grace or been in and out, we've been doing a series where we've been looking at the names of Jesus and what he's been talked about before he even was born. So we've been going to this series called Called, and we're going to finish that up tonight as we look at a verse from Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. But before we get to that verse, I just want to ask you a question. And this is kind of a hard question. Maybe you couldn't identify it at first, but what is Christmas spirit? Like, we sing about it. It's in every Christmas movie you've ever watched. Someone has Christmas spirit, right? You know, the best way to spread Christmas cheer is to sing loud. Who doesn't know Elf? Come on, everyone knows that goes. Sing loud for all day. We talk about Christmas cheer. We talk about Christmas spirit, but what is Christmas spirit, right? It may be a hard thing to define, and when I ask you that, but I bet you anything you can recognize when you're around someone who doesn't have it. Right? I mean, come on, we've been in Christmas season. There's plenty of opportunity to recognize when people don't have Christmas spirit. Am I right? I had somebody do that to me. I was at Target the other day, getting ready to shop, and I lined up the perfect parking spot. I mean, guys, I drive my wife crazy because I don't like the ones in the back. I'm going to drive around until I get one closer to the door, right? So I don't know if you are like that. That's what I do, and I drive her crazy. But I found one, and I kind of stalked the people to their car, and I stopped there, and I put my blinker on. I was all excited because I got the spot. Wouldn't you know, as soon as they pulled out, somebody zoomed right in and took my spot. No Christmas spirit. That's what I said. No Christmas spirit. So I prayed for them, and I prayed for myself. And then I found a spot further back, and I walked to Target, which is fine. It's good for me. But then I went to Walmart. And at Walmart, someone had Christmas spirit, and I was in line, and I had one thing, and they had a whole bunch, and they looked at me and said, "Hey, why don't you go in front of us?" And I was like, so much Christmas spirit, so kind and loving. I'm like, that's cheer right there. And then I went out to the parking lot. You'll never believe what happened. People were putting their carts in the cart corral. If that's not a sign of Christmas spirit, I don't know what is, right? Because no one does that, ever. I mean, come on. You pretend like you do. I know you don't put your cart away. You leave it in the parking spot so the next guy has to park around it. I know how that goes. So that's Christmas. But what really is Christmas spirit? Is it generosity? Is it kindness? I mean, you say people have Christmas spirit this time of year. It seems like people are a little more open, a little more kind, a little more thoughtful. Yeah, but I think if we were to boil it all down, and I was thinking about this week, if we were to boil it all down, it comes down to one word. I really think, and that word is peace. Because when you're at peace, you're kinder. You're more generous. The person behind you in line actually takes on a meaning. They actually recognize as a person. They have needs. You think about that, right? You're not thinking about just yourself. When you're at peace, things just seem more gentle around you. And I think that really Christmas spirit boils down to that one word, peace. Now, I'm going to make a pretty bold claim tonight. I'll try to back it up as best I can. But I'm going to tell you that I believe you can have Christmas spirit all year round. I believe it doesn't just happen at this season. Because I believe that idea of peace is available to every single one of us every day, 365. And that reason is because peace is not a thing, peace is a person. And we're going to talk about that person tonight. And he actually has a name. We sung about it a little while ago. In fact, when we read the Christmas story that many of you are probably familiar with, in Luke chapter 2, the shepherds are out in their field. And the angels show up and freak them out and start singing and saying crazy things. And they do a lot of what we would probably do and be like, what is going on, right? I was just watching sheep, and now there's a chorus going on. What do they say to them? They start off by saying, glory to God in the highest, and peace to men on whom his favor rests. They declared peace right from the very beginning. And I don't think that was just a greeting to the shepherds. I think that was a declarative statement about what was happening and will be happening very shortly, that peace was coming to earth in the form of a baby. From a baby in a manger. God in the flesh was coming to earth, and peace was coming with him. Peace you cannot find anywhere else. In fact, in Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, this is the verse we've been talking about. It says, to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. Prince of Peace. Now, the Hebrew term there, translated Prince of Peace, is this word Sar Shalom. The word Sar means chief of, in charge of, the one who controls it all. It's actually the word that got turned into Czar, C-Z-A-R, and then became Caesar, and you know who Caesar was. They took that idea of control and owning it all. And then Shalom, meaning peace, rest, tranquility. So he's saying Jesus is going to be the chief of rest, the chief of peace, the general of it all, the one who has it all, has the only entrance to it, and he's willing to give it away as a great gift this holiday season. And I don't know about you, but peace is something that can often be lacking in my life. And it can be dumb little things that take it from me, right? Because very often we say someone took our peace. But that's not actually correct because we give it away. Nobody can take our peace from us unless we let them. Nobody can take our peace from us unless we give it to them. But very often we're willing to just hand it away and then claim like, oh, my life is crazy. And sometimes there's a lot of stuff working against us, it feels like, to get our peace, isn't there? And it can be dumb little things, like our dogs, right? And I say that because it's a little raw for me right now, but we have a dog. Some of you guys know him. It's a little puppy. His name is Butter. Okay, it's a very cool, nice little dog, except for last night, my family and I went out, left Butter in the house by himself. He had himself a little Christmas party, that dog did. Okay, we came home, looking around the house. He got into the recycling. Okay, you know, that's not a big deal. That dog had gone upstairs into our bedroom. Now, we had shut the door, so how he opened the door, I don't know. But I wish I'd set up a camera to see. But somehow he got into our room. And now my wife had gone Christmas shopping. She'd gotten stuff for my stockings and all that stuff. And she'd hidden them underneath the bed, thinking that would be a safe place to put it. That dog got in the room, found that bag. He had himself an entire bag of Hershey's in one sitting, like a big bag. And like the Hershey's like gold, have you seen that? The caramel cream with peanuts and pretzels in it. And he ate the whole thing. Let me tell you what, my peace was gone when I saw that. I'm like, that's my stocking you're messing with, dog. That's my stuff. And that's not okay for dogs to eat, because believe me, that's, you know, if you have pets, that's the gift that keeps on giving. You don't want any of that. Like, it's not healthy for dogs to have chocolate, let me tell you. That stupid dog ruined my peace. He went after it and he took my stocking. But maybe that's just a silly example, but a lot of us come in here with bigger things that rob us of our peace, don't we? A lot of us come in here with things that are heavier than that, bigger than that, things that are weighing on our heart, even as we sit here today. And I want to let you know that if you get nothing else out of what we talk about tonight, I just want to let you know that Jesus is our peace for every problem. Jesus is our peace for every problem. See, in the Bible, we just talked about what Prince of Peace means. He's the chief of rest, the chief of peace. Do you know in the Bible there's over 790 verses that talk about peace? And so we're going to go through all of them tonight. So you're just hold on. No. I'm not going to do that to you. Trust me. We're not going to go through all verses tonight. But when you take those verses and you break them down, they fall into three major categories. And these three categories, coincidentally enough, are also the three major areas we have peace problems every single day in all of our lives. Because the first areas that they break down to is our peace with God. And that's the first place that it talks about always like having peace with God. Because you know what? The Bible clearly tells us that if we don't know him, we don't. There's no peace there with God. And that can cause a lot of problems in our lives. So verses talk about peace with God, but then they also talk about peace with ourselves. How many know that sometimes the hardest person to have peace with is you, for you, right? You versus you. Sometimes that's the hardest person to have peace with. And the Bible clearly lays out that if you have peace with God, then you can have peace from God. But if you don't have peace with God, you don't have peace with yourself. And when we don't have peace with ourselves, it takes it to the third area with peace with everyone else. See, he talks about peace with God, peace with yourselves, and peace in your relationships with everybody else. Those are the three major peace problem areas, I would say, that we have, right? That we see all the time. But there's an answer to that. There's an answer that we just sung about a little while ago in the form of a baby boy who came, and he had a name called Emmanuel, which means God with us. You've heard that in the Bible. And that God who came to be with us came to do more than just be born and then go away, 33 years later. He came to bring something that only he could bring. a peace that only he could enter into to bring with him. In fact, you might be sitting here thinking, all right, Mike, it sounds really good. Sounds great. Peace sounds like something I'd love to have in my life. Sounds like something I need in my life. I often feel like I don't have it. You might be sitting here tonight thinking, you don't have peace. You might be feeling like I'm sitting here, someone made me come, it's Christmas, so I do my church thing on Christmas, but my life outside of this is a mess. Thinking I could really use peace. And you're thinking, all that sounds good, that Jesus came to be the Sar Shalom, the chief of peace in my life, but well, how does that happen? How do I actually get to that? Because right now it's just a concept. What does it mean to have Jesus give me peace? Well, I want to throw a verse up there for you, John 14:27. It says this, I'm leaving you. This is Jesus talking about this. He says, I'm leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and peace of heart. Who wouldn't like to have those things? And the peace I give is a gift the world cannot give. So don't be troubled or afraid. The peace that Jesus gives is not a peace we can find anywhere else. And that's the promise. Right? A lot of us, we look for peace other places. And the thing is, the peace that the world gives is phony and it's fragile. I found this interesting fact as I was reading. There was a study that was done recently examining peace like throughout the course of world history. Some of you guys are history buffs, teach history. And I found this study that was done. They said that in over 3,530 years of recorded history, so there's more than the recorded history, there's only been what they consider 286 years that were considered peaceful. Out of 3,500 years. And then they said that there have been over 8,000 peace treaties that have been made and broken. That's the kind of peace that comes from the world. That's the kind of peace that Jesus is saying, listen, that's not the kind of peace you get from me. The peace you get from me is real. It's lasting. It's not going to be broken. It's not phony and fragile like the peace that can come from the world, the peace that you try to find in all these other things. So if that's the case, how do we get to that peace? What do we do to get that into our lives? Is there a process? Is there things, steps we can take? And yes, there is. Because Jesus wants to be the Prince of Peace in your life, starting tonight. But he lays out a process for us in these verses in Matthew. Some of you may have heard these verses before, but they say, then Jesus said, and this is him talking to the people around him. He says, come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Let me teach you, because I am humble and gentle at heart, and you will find rest for your souls. So I want to take the last few minutes. I just want to help you understand the steps to encountering that kind of peace that we all need and are looking for. Because Jesus lays out the steps in this verse, these two verses. And I promise you, if we go to these and you follow these steps, you will experience what Jesus has to offer. Because the first thing he says is you got to come to me. It starts by coming to Jesus. In fact, Romans, I don't know where the verse went. Romans 5 tells us that we've been justified through faith. And that when we have that relationship with Jesus, it gives us peace with him to live from. It starts by coming to Jesus and recognizing that with our faith in him, that peace with God problem we have, that takes care of that. And when we have been justified and entered into that relationship, the peace comes from him for everyday situations, big and small. Because coming to Jesus is not just a one-time event. Some of you might be like, well, when I was in Sunday school as a little kid, I did the prayer thing, so I'm good. I haven't really been to church much since then, or haven't really talked to Jesus much, but I did it that one time, so I'm good. Well, yeah, you've entered in a relationship with him, but coming to Jesus is an everyday, moment-by-moment kind of thing. Because sometimes we need to come to Jesus for more than just salvation. We need to come to him for that peace in whatever situation we're facing, big or small. I told you about my dumb dog and what they did to my stocking, and I was like, oh, that stole my peace. But there's bigger things, right? Christmas can be stressful. Christmas can be hard. You got to deal with family members that maybe you only see once a year. You have the pressure to compete, to buy things that maybe you can't even afford, and you're watching your kids opening them, and you're like, this is great. I have to pay that off next month, right? And you're dealing with that stress. Like, exactly, right? We have those things, and in that moment, we have to make a decision. Do we let it rob our peace, or we come to Jesus who can give us peace? There's a big, big difference. Because what we're talking about is not just physical exterior. We're talking about soul stuff. We're talking about soul rest. The inner stuff that goes on where everyone else is quiet, you're laying in your bed thinking, and all the stuff that's going on inside of you. We're talking about a soul rest that only Jesus can give. The kind of tranquility and peace that can only come from him. And he says, come to me, and I will give you that kind of rest. He says, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens. That's anybody. That's everybody. There's nobody in here that can't do that. There's nobody in here that's had too many things go wrong, made too many bad choices. Nobody. It's everybody who wants to come to him, and he will give us rest. So it starts with coming to him. Then it goes on, we need to connect to him as well. Because he says his yoke is easy and his burden is light, so take it on you. Now, here's the thing. When I say yoke, most of you think of an egg. That's okay, because, that makes sense. We don't really use the word yoke anymore. We're not really a farming culture like they were back then. That's not the kind of yoke he's talking about. He's talking about a yoke that would have kept two animals together if they were plowing a field. And the reason you would yoke two really strong ox together to plow a field is because it helped share the load. Because then it wasn't just one animal trying to do the whole thing by themselves. It was both of them sharing the process, sharing the burden, sharing the work together. And Jesus is saying, come and connect with me. Let me share the burden with you. Let me take it upon myself so you're not doing this alone. How many times do we feel like we're doing life alone? And then we're like, God, where are you? He's saying, come to me. Get to know me. Let me show you that if you partner with me, life is a lot easier. You've been doing it all on your own, and you're feeling like you're plowing life on your own, and it's a lot of work. So you come to me, you connect with me, let me show you how much lighter it can be. It's not about escaping. It's about connecting and letting Jesus share the load that you have going on in your life. It's about the right partnerships. And Jesus is saying, partner with me. Peace comes from that kind of partnership. And he goes on to say this. Once you've done that, let him change you. Jesus says, learn from me. Let me teach you. See, Jesus is the only one who can teach us what real antidote to stress is, what the real peace that we're looking for can be, the humility and the gentleness that we're all seeking. Right? He gives us the antidote to the stress that we put on ourselves where we're buying stuff with money we don't have, to impress people we don't even like. That's the kind of world that we live in, right? We're buying stuff, hey, buy this, you don't need it. Spend money you don't have to impress these people who you don't even like. Like, we have that kind of life that we went crazy with. And Jesus is saying, let me show you how to live different. Let me teach you what gentleness and humility and all of those things look like. In fact, Isaiah 26 tells us that he will keep in perfect peace all who trust in him, all those whose thoughts are fixed on you. That's a promise. And a promise from God you can take to the bank. That's not something you have to wonder if he's going to follow through on. That's not something you have to wonder if he means it. He means everything he says. And he says that if we are fixated on him, if we connect with him, if we start that relationship, peace is a byproduct of that life. Not a phony peace, not a fragile peace, real peace. In fact, I want to show you a picture as I end. I don't know if you've seen this painting before. There was a contest that was done a while ago. Someone commissioned painters, artists, to come up with an image of peace, and they could win a prize. And so all these people entered, and all these people threw up paintings, and they were paintings of what you might think, right? Like tranquil lakes with nice trees, and just beautiful scenery, and just what we think of as calm. But you know what the winning painting was? This one right here. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but in the cleft of that rock, so you have this crazy waterfall, tree just not like, it looks like a really chaotic scene, right? Maybe kind of like life feels. But what's going on right there in between those waterfalls? There's a dove that's built its nest right in the midst of the chaos. And they looked at that and they said, you know what? That's peace. That's understanding that in the midst of everything going on around you, you can trust that Jesus is going to be with you and keep you and bring that peace no matter what the circumstance is, and you can rest in that so you're not freaked out by the chaos. So that resembles the kind of peace that Jesus can give. And I love that photo and I love that image because it reminds me, you know what? I can calm down. Like, I can chill. It's okay. I don't have to try to do this on my own. I don't have to freak out every time someone wants to take my peace, every time there's a situation that could steal it from me. I can hold on to and know that because Jesus came, because what we celebrate at Christmas, we can have real, lasting peace. Because here's the promise. Jesus is our peace for every problem. There's not a single thing you've brought into this room with you that he cannot provide peace for. Not a single thing. There's not a choice you've made. There's not an interest. There's nothing. No one is out. You might be thinking, well, yeah, that person over there, they look spiritual. They probably can have God's peace. I can't. Like, you don't know what my life has been like. You don't know what I've done up to this point. It doesn't matter. Jesus came on a mission of peace. The baby that we sang about, Emmanuel, God with us, came on a mission to restore peace. There's a peace-seeking mission, if you will, from his heavenly Father to restore peace between us and him. And that's available to every single one of us in this moment. Every single one of us. And that's what Christmas That's what the Christmas spirit really is. Because I tell you what, peace is not found in a pill. Peace is not found in a prescription. Peace is not found in a bottle. Peace is not found in a romantic relationship. Peace is not a thing you can earn. Peace is found in a person. The Sar Shalom, the owner of it all, who wants to give it to you freely if you just come to him. Connect with him. Learn from him. Let him change so you can walk in that peace every single day. Now, I told you at the end we were going to use those glow sticks. Here's what's going to happen. If you've never done a glow stick before, which I learned today, there are some people who've never used a glow stick before. So I'm putting them on the spot. But what you're going to do in a second, if you have that, you can take that thing out. If you don't know how a glow stick works, let me just break it down for you real quick. All right? Glow stick, what do you got to do to get it to actually work and see? You got to crack it, right? You got to break it. And here's the thing. We have a Savior who came into this world to step into the brokenness. And he was willing to be broken himself so that we could have the kind of peace that we just talked about. He's willing to step into your brokenness and my brokenness. And when we come to him and receive what he did for us, he not only came to be born a baby to step into our shoes and walk with us, he came, he died on the cross, he rose again so that you and I can say, you know what, God, I need your peace. So you can break those glow sticks, which most of you already have done. So go right ahead and do that. That's totally fine. It sounds like that's one of those weird sounds that everybody's doing. Yeah, shake it up. There you go. The little Taylor Swift, shake it off. All right. But here's the thing. What I want to do as we end, we didn't do a candlelight service this year. So this is kind of like in place of our candles. It's much more fire safe too. But every time you see a white light like that, every time you encounter a glow stick from this moment on, I want you to think of the one who entered into our situation to bring peace that no one else could bring. And he did what no one else could do by dying and rising again so that you and I can know that we can have peace forever. Not just one day, today. That he is with us. He's walked in our shoes. He's experienced everything you've ever experienced. And he knows that I can bring peace to anybody who puts their faith in me. And he wants to today. So I'm going to pray real quick. And the worship team's going to come up. And they're going to end with a song for us. And you know what? And it's going to be a celebration kind of song. So with the glow sticks, if you want to shake them around, a little party in here, that's okay. Because it's something to celebrate. The peace of Jesus is something to celebrate. This is not a season that we just try to rush through. This is something we can go, God, thank you. Let's party a little bit and remember what you did for us on the cross. But here we go. Before we do that, just bear with me one more second before we do that. I want to take a second and pray. And here's what I want to do. If you can hang in there with me for like 2 more minutes. Here's what I want to do. If you guys could close your eyes, even if you don't want to pray, that's fine. Just close your eyes. Here's what I want to do. I know that there's people in this room who need peace. I know there's people in this room who may have known God but has doubted that he has peace for them anymore. I know there are. So I want to close in a second, and with every eye closed and head bowed, please don't be looking around and just ignoring me. This is important. If I want to be able to pray for you for that. And I'm not going to ask you to stand up or come forward or do anything weird. I just want you to real quick, if that's you, if you're in this room and you're like, yeah, I know God used to have peace. I haven't really felt it in my life. At one point maybe. But if that's you, I just want you to slip your hand up so I can pray for you. Just say, listen, I know I need the peace of God in my life. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Just keep your hand up real quick. I just want to pray. God, thank you so much for the fact that you are the Prince of Peace. You are the Sar Shalom. You are the one who owns all of it, and you want to give it to us if we just come to you and ask. So all these people that have raised their hand, Jesus, I pray that you would be with them, that you would work in their lives, that you would remind them that you are in charge. You are the chief. You came into this world on a peace mission to restore to us the relationship we were meant to have. So I pray that you'd bless them right now, that as they are sitting even here going, God, where are you? Where's the peace? That you would remind them that your yoke is easy, your burden is light. Come to me, and I will be with you. That this Christmas season will not just be a time that comes and goes, but that they will carry that sense of your peace and presence with them all the rest of their days throughout the entire year. We thank you and praise you for that, Jesus. And I pray.